The stars vanished. For the people of Earth, it began as an ordinary night. Cities pulsed with light. Air traffic glided in determined paths. Children pointed upward at the moon. No warning. No seismic shift. Just darkness. Above the Pacific, the sky turned black as something massive eclipsed the stars. Not clouds. Not an eclipse. Warships. Thousands. Their hulls were obsidian and sharp like fangs, stretching from horizon to horizon. Engines glowed violet, pulsing like beating hearts. The air trembled as gravity waves distorted the atmosphere. In the ocean, waves rose and crashed against each other. On the shore, crowds froze. Every camera turned upward. Humanity didn't scream. They stared. On the Lunar Defense Network, Commander Elias Rain stood on the command deck of Eidolon, Earth's orbital flagship. A holographic display tracked the incoming fleet as points of red light, each a capital ship the size of a city. Rain didn't blink. "Confirm origin," he said quietly. Lieutenant Mira Joe swallowed. "Scanners read, non-human technology. Ships match no known civ. They bypassed our deep-range sensors." "Not bypass," Rain corrected. "They walked past them." The Moonbase AI chimed. "Unidentified fleet, full orbital encirclement. Classification, invasion." Mira turned pale. "They weren't hiding. They want to be seen." Rain's fingers tightened behind his back. His pulse remained steady. The tactical feed zoomed into one of the enemy ships. Its hull bore a sigil, a black sun surrounded by chains. "The Galactic Empire," Rain murmured. "We've heard the rumors." Until tonight, rumors were safe. A transmission request pinged. Across every network, every screen, every surface. A face appeared. Humanoid. Tall. Angular. Eyes like polished iron. Armor plated in dark chrome. Emperor Zaltor Vyrn. His voice rolled like thunder. "Earth. You are now property of the Empire." Gasps spread through living rooms, cafes, barracks. But Rain only studied the Emperor's face, calculating weaknesses in the jaw, throat, and armor lines. Old instincts. The Emperor continued. "Surrender your industries, your labor force, and your resources. Kneel, and you will be allowed to live." Rain leaned closer to the display. "Open broadcast channel. Global." "Yes, sir." Rain's voice echoed across the world. Calm. Controlled. He didn't shout. He didn't flex authority. He simply stated truth. "Earth does not kneel." A ripple of stillness passed through the command deck. Zaltor tilted his head. Amused. "You misunderstand. We are not asking." On the holographic map, something moved, tiny blue markers near Earth's orbit. Dropships. Thousands of them. Rain exhaled slowly. "Lieutenant," he said. "Signal protocol soul shield." Mira hesitated. She had trained for this moment for years but prayed it would never come. "Yes, Commander." Her fingers danced across her console. "Earth, Northern California/Pacific Command." Inside the underground defense hub, generators roared. Superconductive coils spun up power for systems that had been dormant for decades. Panels slid open on mountain ranges, revealing metallic lenses. Phase shift cannons. Developed. Tested. Hidden. Humanity didn't brag. Humanity prepared. Orbit, invading warfleet. The Empire's lead dreadnoughts surged forward, massive turrets locking onto Earth. A captain smirked at his console. "Primitive world. No shields. No fleet. They rely on diplomacy. They don't understand war." On his screen, Earth's surface remained calm, cities glowing innocently. He sneered. "We fire first. They will submit." He lifted his hand. "Target their largest city." "We will." A new voice cut through the bridge. Commander Rain's voice. Every Imperial comm, every channel, every signal, overridden. "Attack us, and you won't get a second chance." Laughter erupted across the dreadnought bridge. "Empty threat." Pathetic. They can't touch us. No one noticed the shift in space. As if reality itself bent. Lunar flagship, Eidolon. Rain stood motionless. Phase shield status? He asked. Mira checked. Full charge. Awaiting firing clearance. Rain nodded once. Engage the curtain. Space, between Earth and the Empire's fleet. Space rippled like disturbed water. A shimmering wall spread in a sphere around Earth. The quantum curtain. A gravitational net made of folded space-time. Every Imperial ship suddenly lost jump capability. They were trapped. On the Dreadnought bridge, alarms screamed. Jump drive offline! Warp alignment collapsed! Panic rippled through the fleet. Earth didn't just block them. Earth caged them. Transmission, open fleet channel. Commander Rain's voice again. Calm. Surgical. You will leave the solar system. Now. Zaltor leaned forward, eyes narrowing. You threaten us? We are 1,000 warships. What are you? Rain's answer sliced like steel. Prepared. The Empire fires. Blazing plasma lanced toward Earth. A wave of molten light. Atmospheric burn. People screamed on every continent. Rain didn't move. Mira. Yes, Commander. Return fire. Earth fires back. Phase shift cannons activated. No light. No visible projectile. No sound. Reality itself twisted around the cannons. Inside the last tenth of a second, the barrel flickered out of existence and reappeared behind the enemy fleet, bypassing space entirely. The return shot appeared inside the Empire's own dreadnought. The ship imploded. One shot. One fleet leader gone. The dreadnought's bridge vaporized so fast its admiral died still laughing. Silence spread from ship to ship. Alien officers froze, unable to comprehend how something could shoot without traveling. Rain issued final clarification. That wasn't defense. That was precision. He let the meaning settle. Last warning? Zaltor snarled. Your kind is primitive. You lack the strength to fight us. Rain finally turned toward the screen fully, eyes steady, voice like death's verdict. We gave you mercy. You gave us a target. He dropped his hand. All batteries. Remove the invaders. In the sky over Earth. The cannons fired again. But this time, every single Imperial ship experienced simultaneous catastrophic failure. Hulls collapsed inward. Reactors shut down. Engines froze mid-burn. It wasn't war. It was execution. Flagship, Empire Dreadnought. Zaltor stood trembling. Their weapons break physics. His advisor whispered, voice cracking. They told legends about humans, but we assumed they exaggerated. Zaltor whispered. What are they? Lunar flagship, command deck. Rain didn't smile. He didn't gloat. He spoke with the quiet certainty of someone who understood the depth of his warning. Humans are peaceful. Do not confuse that with harmless. And for the first time in the history of the Galactic Empire, they hesitated. Space was silent. But on every Imperial bridge trapped within Earth's quantum curtain, silence felt like suffocation. Commander Elias Rain stood on Eidolon's command deck, arms folded behind him as tactical screens updated in real time. The invading fleet, once confident, now drifted helplessly in the black void between Earth and the Moon. Thousands of ships. Zero mobility. Lieutenant Mira Zhou reviewed incoming telemetry, disbelief sharpening her voice. They still haven't launched counterfire. They're frozen. Rain kept his gaze on the holographic map. Fear delays decisions. One of the ops techs swallowed. Sir, they outnumber us. Rain's voice stayed level. They don't outthink us. Imperial flagship, war room. Emperor Zaltor stood at the center of a chaotic swarm of officers. The holographic image of Earth glowed below him like an insult. Explain why our fleet is immobilized. His tone was polite. Deadly polite. A science officer trembled. Something Some kind of gravity manipulation lattice wrapped the system. Jump drives won't engage. Warp cores won't synchronize. Zaltor narrowed his eyes. Disable it. We can't. The Emperor gripped the edge of the table. You are telling me Earth, primitive Earth, built a weapon that cages an empire? The officer nodded weakly. Zaltor's jaw flexed. They were given a warning. We will crush them and move on. He pointed toward the lower fleet. Send drop battalions to the planetary surface. I want cities burning. Earth orbit, lunar flagship. A proximity alarm pinged. Commander! Mira called out. Dropships deploying. Mass planetary invasion. Rain didn't raise his voice. Bring up firing solution. Mira hesitated. Sir, if we fire on troop transports, casualties will be. Civilian losses are their objective. Rain said, eyes steady. We intercept in orbit. No landfall. He turned to the tactical crew. Deploy Spectre Wing. Low orbit, deployment bay. Spectre Wing wasn't a squadron. It was a myth. 12 fighters waited on magnetic rails, sleek, angular, matte. No external weapons visible. Pilots slid into cockpits, radiation suits glinting faint silver. They checked synchronized HUDs. Inside every visor, the same acknowledgement flashed. Order confirmed. None shall pass. A klaxon sounded. Rails charged. Then, they vanished. Not cloaked. Removed from the normal spatial frame. Imperial dropship column. Armored troop transports sped toward Earth, confident in their numbers. Troop commanders barked orders. You fire on civilians if they resist. Take no. A shock ripple tore through the lead dropship. No projectile. No flash. Just a rupture, like the metal had been crushed by invisible fists. A pilot screamed through comms. Unknown impact. Before the ship imploded. The fleet panicked. What hit us? Where are they firing from? Then a voice echoed through their comnet. Human. Calm. Stop. It was Commander Rain. You won't get another warning. Spectre Wing strikes. The fighters re-entered normal space around the dropships, phasing in like ghosts. Their weapons released silent micro-singularities, tiny voids that collapsed structural integrity from within. Dropships vanished, silent, surgical erasures. Spectre Wing didn't strafe, didn't loop, didn't gloat. They ended threats and moved on. Efficient. Precise. Unavoidable. Within 90 seconds, half the Imperial invasion force was dust. Lunar flagship bridge. An officer turned to Rain, stunned. Spectre Wing requests permission to pursue survivors. Rain's answer was immediate. Negative. They're not prey. They're a message. Imperial flagship, panic. Zaltor watched dropship telemetry disappear. His control panel filled with red signals. Loss, loss, loss. This is impossible. His tactical advisor leaned forward, fear overtaking arrogance. They warned us. And we ignored it. Zaltor snapped. We are the Empire. They cannot win. The advisor whispered, low enough that only he could hear. They already did. Earth, Pacific Command bunker. Across Earth, military bases hummed at high readiness but remained silent. The people were watching. Waiting. In a dimly lit corridor, President Amara Lee approached a secure line directly connected to the Eidolon. The screen flickered, revealing Elias Rain. Status? Lee asked. No Imperial forces have reached the surface. Rain replied. Lee exhaled. The world is watching you. He didn't flinch. We gave them a chance to leave. And if they don't? Rain's eyes hardened. Then they learn why the galaxy fears humans. The Empire panics. On the flagship, officers yelled across overlapping comm channels. We can't retreat. The jump field keeps resetting. Weapons offline. We're trapped. Zaltor slammed his fist on the table. We will not be humiliated by an insignificant species. Ready the planet killer cannon. Silence washed through the officers. You mean to fire the Desolation Lance? Someone whispered. Zaltor sneered. If we cannot have Earth, no one will. The tactical crew obeyed, though fear shook their hands. Lunar flagship, threat detected. Mira froze as new data appeared. Commander, the enemy is charging a main superweapon. A visual of the dreadnought's underside pulsed with growing red light. It's aimed at Earth. No one spoke. Every breath was held. Rain spoke without raising his voice. Activate Project Nullstar. You want to use that now? Mira asked, eyes wide. They gave us their answer, Rain said. It's time we give ours. Project Nullstar, Earth's counterweapon. In the launch bay beneath the lunar surface, a large containment chamber opened. A sphere of what looked like liquid darkness hovered inside. An onboard AI voice announced, Warning, temporal mass inversion active. The sphere was not a bomb. It was a black hole, engineered to live for precisely 6 seconds. Mira whispered, If we release it into the fleet, it won't touch Earth, Rain said. Just the invaders. Back in Imperial Command. The Desolation Lance neared firing threshold. Weapons ready, Your Majesty. Zaltor smiled, cold, victorious. And the humans. He pointed toward Earth. Fire. Lunar deck, execution order. Rain didn't blink. Release Nullstar. Space, execution. The black sphere shot forward, slipping through the quantum curtain. The moment it appeared inside the Empire's formation, space collapsed. Ships twisted like wet paper. Metal bent. Engines shattered. The superweapon preparing to fire earthward crumpled inward like crushed foil. 6 seconds. That's all the Nullstar existed. Then space rewove itself. The entire center of the invasion fleet was gone. Silence followed. Actual silence. Not a voice on comms. Not a weapon charging. The Empire was broken. Command deck, aftermath. Mira stared at the fading ripples of warp space. They can't fire again. Their entire command armada just collapsed. Rain nodded. They had their warning. He sent one final transmission to the remaining Imperial ships. Leave our system. Live with the memory. Try again. And there will be nothing left to remember. And for the first time, the Empire retreated. The retreat order echoed across the fleet, but retreat was impossible. The quantum curtain, Earth's space-folding trap, kept every remaining Imperial vessel trapped in Sol. The Empire's ships drifted like crippled prey. Commander Elias Rain watched from Eidolon's bridge. Screens showed enemy formations fracturing, command structures collapsing. Lieutenant Mirajo whispered, They're abandoning their dreadnoughts. Shuttles are scattering. Rain didn't celebrate. His face stayed unreadable. They'll try to regroup. They'll return. We end this now. Mira blinked. You intend to take the fight to them? Rain turned toward her. We warned them. They ignored it. The command crew waited for his next order. They'd trained under Rain long enough to know his decisions weren't emotional. They were final. Imperial flagship bridge. Emperor Zaltor stood before a ruined viewport. Half the bridge was scorched from Nullstar's gravitational blast. He still wore his imperial posture, though his left hand trembled. How? He rasped. Did they bend gravity? No one answered. Instead, his communications officer crawled to the console, shaking. Your Majesty, we are still receiving one active transmission. He swallowed. It's from Earth. On screen, Commander Rain appeared. Calm. Hands folded behind him. Eyes steady. Your invasion is over. Zaltor snarled. You presume authority. Rain spoke over him, voice cutting like a scalpel. You were given a chance to leave our world untouched. You chose aggression. We choose conclusion. Zaltor leaned forward, eyes narrow. You cannot reach us. Even if you could, you wouldn't risk war with the Empire. Rain didn't blink. We're already at war. We just haven't arrived yet. Communication cut. Zaltor's blood ran cold. Mission briefing room, flagship Eidolon. Holograms illuminated a 3D model of the Empire's core world, a massive jewel of a planet wrapped in rings and starship docks. Rain addressed the strike team, Spectre wing pilots, infiltration specialists, and 2 engineering officers. The room felt tight. Not with panic. With purpose. Rain pointed to the projected map. This is Vernexus. Empire capital. They believe it untouchable. One pilot snorted. Arrogance makes good cover. Rain nodded. Exactly. He zoomed into the throne district. Guards. Shields. Fleet yards. Every defense imaginable. Direct assault would waste lives, Rain said. We don't do that. He tapped a section of the map. The image zoomed into the understructure, massive conduits beneath the planet's Senate Tower. This is what we target. Their empire runs on a planetary command relay, communications, shields, fleet control. They lose this. They lose everything. Mara finished. Rain paced slowly, eyes focused, tone sharp. Spectre Wing, you phase jump into low orbit. I infiltrate the relay with an engineering team. We shut down their throne world's control grid. An engineer frowned. Sir, that puts you inside their capital. Yes, Rain said quietly. That's the point. Alone? Rain looked up. Every soldier in the room felt the weight of his stare. Sometimes to end a war, one knife is sharper than an army. Imperial fleet holding cell, hours later. Rain stood inside a containment cell. He didn't fight when the Empire boarded the Eidolon during a foe systems failure. He let them take him. He needed to get inside their world. Nothing infiltrates like a captured enemy. The door hissed open. 2 guards dragged Rain down a corridor toward a transport shuttle. Even in shackles, Rain's presence was unnerving. One guard muttered, "Strange." He didn't resist. The other guard kept his voice low. Maybe humans finally understand their place. Rain didn't bother replying. Instead, he watched the bulkheads and counted steps under his breath. Mapping the ship in his mind. 20 steps. Left corridor. Pressure door. 2 cameras. Every detail mattered. When they shoved him into his seat on the shuttle, he sat upright, silent, calm, calculating. Exactly what a threat looks like right before it moves. Space, transit to Empire core world. The shuttle slipped through warp. The Empire's capital swelled ahead. Light-filled rings, massive towering architecture, and fleets orbiting like obedient insects. One guard glanced at Rain. "You'll die here, human." Rain finally spoke. "No." He looked through the viewport at the Empire's world. "You will." Vernexus, Empire capital. The landing bay of the Imperial Citadel was built for glory. Tall spires, polished floors, banners hung with reverence. Hundreds of soldiers lined the walkway as if greeting a visiting dignitary. They were there to mock him. Rain was marched down the path, shackles locked behind him. The Emperor waited, surrounded by ornate guards in obsidian armor. Zaltor smiled. "You wanted to come to us. Now you kneel before the Empire." Rain's voice was low. "I warned you. You won't get a second chance." The Emperor chuckled. "Second chance? You think this is negotiation?" Rain lifted his eyes. "I think this is your last minute of control." The Emperor gestured to the crowd. "Look at them. You're surrounded. No escape. You can do nothing." Rain didn't look intimidated. He looked patient. Orbit of the Empire capital, space above. In the void, just beyond sensor range. Spectre Wing phased into existence. The pilots received telemetry from Rain's neural implant, a silent signal. Pilot Kova inhaled. "Target grid location confirmed." Another pilot whispered. "This is madness." Kova corrected him. "This is humanity." Citadel, execution platform. Rain stood at the center. A hush fell. Zaltor lowered his voice. "Give me Earth's weapon technology, And I will spare your species. Rain met his eyes. You misunderstand. Earth isn't negotiating. He turned his head slightly, just enough for the neural implant to pick up the motion. Signal sent. Space, Empire sky. Spectre wing fired. No lights. No streaks. No sound. Just a ripple, like ink dropped into water. Phase space breach. A shockwave passed through the entire planet's defense network. Shields collapsed. Command relays shut down. Fleet uplinks went offline. The Empire's capital, believed untouchable, went dark. Lights flickered. Systems died. Alarms screamed. Rain watched the panic cascade. Officers began shouting. What is happening? Core grid failure! The shields, they're gone! Rain stepped toward Zaltor, unshackling himself with a twist. Because the cuffs were never locked. You chose war. We choose how it ends. Zaltor backed away. No, you can't. Rain leaned in. The Empire bleeds now.